Well, we are back, everyone, and it is the moment you've all been waiting for. We are on the precipice of the beginning of the MLR Playoffs. It's all to play for this weekend, Will. It's been a busy 2 weeks of rugby around the world since we were last on the show. How you doing, mate?
Mate, we're here. The Rugby Rundown. Our playoff specials are arrived. And actually, just before I say that, good to be on the Rugby Network as always, but also good to see you on Major League Rugby YouTube calls.
Yes, hello, new fans.
Hello.
Let's go.
See you over there looking in. I'm good, mate. It's been a busy time. Had a big week in the Virginia, DC area. I was doing stuff with Major League Rugby Rising. Keep an eye on that. These are the college athletes looking to try and get into the draft and be selected to be in Major League Rugby for next year. Yeah, very excited to be there. And then I was in DC, had my first commentating of an international game. So that was a very...
Congratulations,
thank you very
mate.
much.
Well done.
Thank you.
Did a good job too, I thought. All three of you were a good combo.
Yeah, I was good. And to be in the
good reps
stadium
together as well.
Oh, and to be in the stadium as well, it was electric. Really was electric. But it's good to be back. How are you doing? Because if anyone's had a little eagle eye, and maybe they can see it on screen or not,
I don't know, I'm hiding it well.
You've been in the wars, man. What's going on here?
Yeah, I took a little tumble off my Vespa.
We're laughing about it, but like, it was not good.
It was not my finest moment.
Black and blue, look at
it. I don't know if anyone could see my arm. It's the tricep that took the brunt of the landing. Got a few other little war wounds, but onwards we march. Playoff week. Nothing stopping me marching with the Legions down to Seattle this weekend.
There he is.
For a massive clash.
There he is, yeah, it is. Oh, there's massive clashes everywhere. Yes, you are getting ready for Major League Rugby Playoffs. The conference semifinals are here, coming up this weekend. And we've got a great show, man. We really have, because we've got some brilliant guests. We've actually just conducted those interviews earlier. Like, very exciting having those guys on. We've got Conner Mooneyam, fresh off the USA Eagles, making his debut. We'll talk a little bit about the Eagles, but then he's getting ready for Seattle Seawolves to play you guys coming up.
We get into it a little bit, so it's a good little watch.
It's a little bit, a bit of beef here and there. And then we've got the Jaysons. I love this, the battle of the Jaysons. Jayson Potroz and Jayson Robertson, two of the best number 10s in the league. Obviously, we've got Free Jacks taking on DC. We talk to them. We obviously talk about the other games as well. We got Houston, Dallas, of course, and then NOLA versus Chicago. But man, we're going to wrap through this.
I'll be honest, I just thought of a great gag for the Battle of the Jaysons.
Oh, here we go.
Well, we could say there's three Jaysons, because you could be a little Jason Bourne in the mix.
If there's a double ganger to be go by, you're welcome. You're looking at him.
Just games me. I wish I'd thought of that when we were all on the interview together. But yeah, the third Jayson has arrived.
These great ideas.
Matt Damon has
This is our problem. We think about good ideas after it.
Yeah, I'm more
just be on the spot.
Type of come up with ideas.
On the spot. Well, look, in terms of on the spot, we've both been busy. We are back. We're looking forward to this. We've got so much to come. Major League Rugby. It's all to play for that final on the 4th of August. But let's get into it. This is the Rugby Rundown, and we want to start, of course, with some rugby news. There's plenty that's been going on, Corbs, in the last 2 weeks.
Yes, indeed. Well, lots to talk about. Let's get into it.
Yes, Corbs, plenty has happened. Plenty of rugby across the globe. None more so than those Southern Hemisphere teams taking on the Northern Hemisphere teams. England and New Zealand. New Zealand getting the better of them. We've had Ireland and South Africa. That being a draw. I mean, that was unbelievable. And then Australia getting the better of Wales. France, Argentina. The Italians, they went down to Pacific Islanders and struggled. Loss against Samoa was in there. There's been plenty that's happening. Quick mention all those games as a whole. It's that time of year with some big clashes.
Huge clashes. Lots to talk about. I've been busy boy with my World Rugby role.
I was going to say,
there's been a lot of scrums going on in the World Rugby sphere over this test window. But yeah, it's been fantastic. And that's what I like is the back and forth. The fact that Ireland went down the first one, came back and won, similar to France and Argentina. France very dominant in the first one. Argentina able to turn it around with a massive win in the second one. Yeah. That's why we love Test rugby. Clashes that can go either way. And it kind of synergizes what we got coming this weekend with the playoffs, because every one of those games, I think, is a game that potentially could go either way. And it's not like a one track sort of team in any of those encounters.
Rugby's competitive. And I tell you what, it's been competitive as well internationally in the Northern Hemisphere as well, or should I say North America, because Canada, they had their 2 games. There's Scotland and Romania. Congratulations to the Canadians. Very impressive win against Romania in their last game. We'll come on to the US in a minute because we've got Conner Mooneyam coming on. They played Romania and Scotland, 2 losses. But as for the US, I want to quickly mention, by the time we've recorded this and this is out, the US under-20s will be playing Scotland in the final of the trophy.
How good?
How good? I mean, it's a big ask though, Corbs, but still brilliant achievement to get there.
Yeah, obviously Scotland seem to be quite a team and seem to be probably maybe a team that should be in the higher comp this year with some of the talent they have. So it's going to be a real test. But for the Eagles to go from last year winless to, is it 4-0 now? They're on a run.
Yeah, they've been winning.
That is what we're talking about, Scott Lawrence, what we're trying to move.
Operation Gemini.
Yes, Operation Gemini. These kids getting, I say kids, but they're actually young men, getting that experience, getting the ability to play these teams, getting the time together for the first time, really. Come on, get time together.
That's what we need.
4-0.
That's what we need.
Barely have time together. 0-3. It's different gravy. Well done, Scott Lawrence. Well done, USA Rugby. And well done, World Rugby as well, for supporting the long-term vision, because that's really, these are your class of 2031 sort of players. Have to be. Well, good luck to them. As I say, that result may or may not have come through depending on when you're watching or listening to this show. Now, USA Rugby, as mentioned, the Eagles played Romania and Scotland. So that has actually quickened to the news and out of the news, because we want to make sure we get on our first guest, because he made his debut. Eagle 5-7-3. Mr. Conner Mooneyam, Seattle Seawolves Conner Mooneyam, comes onto the show to discuss making his debut and then also the summer of what was USA Eagles, and now he prepares for the playoffs, man. Should we get him on? Let's get into it. Okay, it's time to welcome our next guest on the show, and this one's a big one, fresh off his Eagles debut last weekend. Welcome to the show, Eagle number 573, also represented by the Seattle Seawolves, Conner Mooneyam.
How's it going, guys?
We're so thrilled you come there and spoke to us, because I can imagine your phone's been ringing, especially after such a good debut on Friday. Obviously, you were in that team starting against Scotland. I mean, just first and foremost, congratulations, but how was it to become a USA Eagle? And what a game to make your debut against as well. You were amazing, buddy. You really were.
Yeah, honestly, when I heard that we were playing against a Tier 1 nation and that I was going to get the start, I was, obviously pretty nervous, especially going against Duhan, just trying to prepare myself for what was to come in the game. But no, it was awesome. We got to Audi Field. The atmosphere was electric, 20,000 plus fans. You could definitely hear them on the field. It was sick.
That's awesome. And Conner, for me, from my assessment from the outside in, you came into the MLR as a number 1 draft pick. You produced immediately for Austin. You've obviously continued that form in the MLR. Obviously, you made your Eagles debut and you stood out. When I saw you in first Eagles camp when we were in Denver a couple years ago, you stood out. Like, you seem to, whatever deep end you get thrown in, you seem to be able to rise to the challenge. Is that a fair assessment of how you feel?
Yeah, I feel like it is. I was watching a few motivational videos before the game, and I was watching Mike Tyson's trainer, and he was talking about how sometimes we just get thrown into the fire, but we love it. You're a fireman. That's how you know you're at home, is when you're in the fire. And so I feel like a few times in my career I've been thrown into those situations, and that's how I know that I'm thriving.
Let's just touch on that a little bit then. Obviously, you come through the system, Life University. You were that inaugural first-round draft pick. Also, safe to say as well, had some unlucky injury along the way. It has not been straightforward. You got thrown in the fire, but it's also been a rocky road. Like, just how much has this meant going through the pathway and getting that Eagle cap for you?
My rookie season was meant to go to Europe, got concussed right before the flight. They said, we're not going to take you. Obviously, last year, tore my ACL as well. So it's been kind of a rocky road, but no, super grateful for it. When that national anthem was going, there's so many emotions. A few tears might have rolled down my face, but yeah, it was awesome.
And you played against Duhan van der Merwe, man. I mean, like, he's a monster. And you honestly, in my opinion, having being there watching, I thought you got the better of him. Corbs, like, are we being outrageous? Like, no, I generally think you did.
I thought he had a great game. And I think Duhan was reasonably quiet considering the player that he can be in games like that. And Scotland had a fair bit of possession. And probably from the Eagles' point of view, the thing you got to be the most proud of in that game was the defence.
Yeah,
some of the defensive sets that you guys had against a team that moved the ball well, that sliced tier 1 teams with their attack. And they had a lot of their pieces out there, maybe a few big guns rested to produce more depth in their squad, but a majority of their backline especially was out there. And I thought your boys line speed, the pressure reads, making good calls, and just repeat efforts. It had Scott Lawrence's fingerprints all over it.
Yeah, 100%. I think that we had the right mindset on defense coming into the week. We were pretty starved of possession the whole game, but Nick Easter, Minty, he kind of gave us all license, all the backs. He said, just go. If you see something, go. And that's the type of rugby that I like to play. When you got license to go, then just do it.
Now, the thing that needs to go now is the mindset, because obviously 2 weeks for the Eagles. Now you're going to go into the Seattle Seawolves. I suppose a bit of a double-barrel question. I quite like to do this. What have you felt you've got out of the 2 weeks, but how much is it now a complete sort of focus towards Seattle and the playoffs?
Yeah, so we share our huddle accounts. So now I got to kind of strip away from the USA huddle account or the film account and then go to the Seawolves, and I got to watch a lot of what we're planning to do this week. I have a lot to do tonight, but no, it's good to kind of get into a different system and get around a different group of boys and, just kind of refresh yourself in the game, because it is different going into any team that you're going against.
All right, Connor, obviously, big game this weekend.
I'm smiling because it is a big game for him as well.
It's a huge game for both of our teams. What's been sort of the focus or the talking points for you and the Seawolves coming into this matchup?
Yeah, obviously I haven't been with the Seawolves in the past couple of weeks, so I haven't been there physically to speak with them, and we had today off, so tomorrow I'll get stuck in. But after the game against Scotland, I went up to some of the San Diego boys, and I was like, we're boys now, but I'll see y'all next week. You know how it is.
It's on site, bro. It's on site next week. For me, it's going to be a massive one. It's a big rivalry, two teams that know each other well. And I think you boys probably deserve to be the favourites. Throughout the years, consistent, had a little bit of a wobble with maybe some injury spells. But this year, I think, as far as what you guys have produced on the field, from my point of view as an analyst and the San Diego point of view, I think you guys are a very, very complete team that have a lot of ways to win games and are very hard to actually defeat.
But I will ask, though, in terms of Connor, I understand that, but what are you wary, though, of the San Diego Legion as well? Because they've been hitting some good... They beat you, obviously, in the last game of the season. What's been going through? What do you think in terms of this matchup?
Yeah, they're hitting their stride, for sure. But like Corbs said, we're going to be at home. The Seawolves fans are going to be there. We're comfortable at home. It's a little bit of a smaller pitch. We'll build that seawall. We're playing on turf. We train on turf, so it's kind of in our wheelhouse for this weekend.
Is there any, I get, this is almost a question for you both, but like, again, having played in this game previously, there is such a rivalry between San Diego and Seattle. I think it's brilliant. I think it's great for the MLR. From your side of things, Connor, like, do you feel that? Is it like there's an added sense to this game, the fact that there is such a big sort of matchup between the Legion and the Seawolves?
I feel like it's got to feel that way for some of the boys who've been in the system for a long time. But our coach, Clarkey, he's pretty good at disconnecting the game feels with how important it actually is and just kind of going in there and focusing on ourselves.
Corbs, where is this game going to be won and lost, man?
It's multiple areas, and I think Connor's completely right. It's a different field, so you have to adjust your style to that style, and that's something that they're incredibly good at. It's a fortress down there. The crowd are electric, and they love to cheer against San Diego, so we're already expecting a pretty incredible atmosphere down there. But for me, it's multifaceted. I think set piece will be a big factor. It always is in knockout rugby. On a smaller field, gain line will be important. I'm sure breakdown, speed of ball, and then the kick battle territory of where the game's played and discipline, especially with a boot like Mac Mason. You can't be sloppy on your own half. Or Seattle are perfectly happy to just chip away with points, make you chase, and then all of a sudden blitz you with what they have, because they have they have multifaceted attack. I think they have the forward pack that can be direct, that has great set piece, but then they also have that ability on the front foot with their back line, that synergy to connect, to move it out wide and really cut teams apart. And then as well, they have a masterclass with JP Smith at 9 at kicking and game control and staying out of their own half. And it's a real challenge to try and compete with them there, but hopefully we're able to do our homework, get our ducks in a row, and make the most of the opportunity.
Has Corbs basically just given the game plan of what you guys are going to bring? Or you got a few things up your sleeve?
There's nothing more for me to say. He's exploited us.
No, but I mean, for your side of things, Connor, like, what an incredible, the 2 weeks and now into playoffs, like, how much are you embracing this as an individual, but also, of course, in Seawolves colours?
No, I'm loving it. It's awesome. It's a lot of travel, but yeah, I was talking to JP and Pete, and we were already shifting our mindset over to the Seawolves in the airport, and what we have to do for this next job.
Man, it's been so good having you on the Rugby Rundown. This is almost weird, the fact that this is like the head-to-head. Corbs against Conner Mooneyam. But Eagle 5-7-3, have I got that right?
Yep. Congratulations, mate.
Congratulations, buddy. Excellent work. Good luck in the playoffs.
I'll see you Sunday, mate.
I'll see you there. Thanks, guys.
So good having Connor come on the show. He really was. To go up against Duhan van der Merwe and play the way he did, as you said, you nailed it. His defensive work was insane. It sort of summed up the Eagles, I would say, on the whole, Corbs, having been there and seen particularly that Scotland game. Some great resilience, some really good physical play, let down by discipline, let down by some basic errors. It's a tough window. I know the PNC is the main thing for Scott Lawrence and those boys. What kind of learnings do you reckon they take from it?
Well, I think a couple of things. I think first off, there was lots of positives in that Scotland game. Probably in attack, maybe they could have had a little bit more. But yeah, ill-discipline to get pinned in their 22 and then mouldy was probably where that game sort of got away for them. Contrast that with maybe the Romania game. To me, that just shows the difference having more time in camp.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
like between the two games. The fact that they could go from struggling v Romania to being competitive in a lot of facets of the game against Scotland just shows to me that, those Eagles players in the beginning had 7 MLR games in a row in camp, straight into a game, and just another week in the saddle. We saw a performance from here to here. Yeah. So as you get more time back together after the MLR into the PNC, I'm excited to see the layers and the areas that they can sort of develop and elevate their game because, mate, it's a good team. It's a good team, and there's a lot of good players out there, and it's exciting times, and they play some good rugby as well. So I'm all for it. I'm here for it.
I do question that July window, if I'm going to be honest. Part of me thinks, like, is it even worth having it? I don't know. Maybe that might be looked at in the future.
I don't think you can miss a World Rugby window.
Of course, I'm just wondering whether
MLR,
they can move
where it fits.
I know. I'm just thinking about the PNC. I'm just thinking about the lead up to the PNC. But you are right. Like it's a Reg 9, or I don't know if it's still called that. And then the guys have got playoff stuff, which of course Connor talked about. I love the fact that you guys were getting into it a little bit. It's like, oh, who's going to give away that game plan? And actually, Corbs, that's perfect to then get into this playoff chat because really it is all about the Major League Rugby Conference semi-finals. So we come out of that with Connor and the USA Eagles, and it's very much the focus now is on the MLR playoffs.
Well, it is conference semi-final weekend, and man, huge games across the weekend. On Saturday, you've got Houston hosting Dallas, and then the Free Jacks hosting Old Glory DC. And then on the Sunday, you've got Chicago traveling to NOLA, which is going to be a great scrap. And then, as we've already talked about, San Diego Legion marching up north to Seattle, Starfire Stadium. Oh. It's going to be juicy. What a weekend of rugby in store. And as a coach, my stomach's in knots with all the nerves and the build-up. As much as I love a big game, lots on the line here, and this is what we all do it for. And
have to.
Yeah, let's go.
This is absolutely the big thing. Yeah, we've got, there's so much great action. Those games coming up, of course, on Fox Sport, FS1, FS2. Now, if you're an international viewer, make sure you tune into the Rugby Network. That's where you can watch it all. Plenty of highlights as well. Also here on Major League Rugby YouTube. Just get involved. Honestly, it's going to be some unbelievable action. We'll come on a little bit in when we start predicting, but there's one game in particular that I want to focus on because it's the 210s. It's the two Jasons. You even said earlier, the three Jasons, getting me involved as well. Appreciate that, buddy. But honestly, they have been two of the best performers in the league. For Jayson Potroz and Jayson Robertson, they've been almost the best performers, not just in their position, but overall. I think, biased to 10, would you say that's fair enough?
Very fair.
Very fair. So let's get them on. Let's talk about it. It's DC going to Free Jacks. We sat down with the two Flasks, two Jasons to talk it all. Yes, we're joined by the Jasons, one with a Y. And so therefore we're going to try and segregate this between Jayson Potroz and Jace Robertson. Two of the top point scorers in Major League Rugby, two of the top fly halves. I like talking to fly halves, man. I do.
Yes, you do, man.
Yeah, well, they're just
educated.
Excited. They're just educated. And they're ready to go on a showdown for the Eastern Conference semi-final. I'll start, I suppose, with you, Jace, at Old Glory. Do you know each other reasonably well? Because I know, obviously, that New Zealand connection, ITM, was there something of knowing each other?
Yeah, mate. We've played against each other for over the last, I reckon, 8 years here and there, 4 or 5 times. So, yeah, come up against each other a few times. So, yeah, we do.
Jason,
yeah.
Jason, have you got any kind of story on Jace in terms of...
who's got the story?
Yeah, who's got the story and who? Who actually is just like a terrible person or no? I mean, yeah. Anything on the other guy, Jason?
No dirt on him, mate. He's a good lad.
Keeping them close.
Very
close
professional, very professional. Scott Matthew would be proud, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Jason, I'll obviously start with you. Second year in the league. Obviously a fantastic season last year.
Yes.
How have you found this experience of rugby in America, the MLR, and the league and the comp in general?
Yeah, I've loved it, mate. I think it's been really refreshing for my rugby career, I guess, coming to a country where probably rugby's not the number one sport here like it is in New Zealand. So just seeing the way the sport's growing, I guess, and just like our fans, like just how passionate they are and how much they care for the game and want to see it excel has been, really cool to see in my couple of years here.
And Jace, I suppose for you, you were in the league, went to France, then obviously have come back. Like, how has it been for you, just the sort of difference between your first year and then coming back to Old Glory this season?
Mate, it's grown heaps since I've been away. It's as you can see on TV, it's so much better. The product's so much better to watch. It's enjoyable to play, and the growth that I've seen between when I was here last and I am now is massive, and it's a testament to how well the comp's going.
And Jace, with you, Jayson, with you in the Free Jacks, you are one of the heartbeats of that side. The way you boys play, a lot of the out the back of a lot of the forwards, gets the ball in your hands, and you sort of control the ship for them. How have you found that role at the club, and just maybe elaborate a little bit more on that of what you do for this team?
Yeah, no, it's been good. It's obviously always nice when the boys up front are going forward. It allows us to, I guess, receive those balls out the back and be on the front foot. As Jace can probably agree with me, when you're going backwards, it's hard at times to get that style of play you want. But a big credit for the boys. They do the work, and us tens, we just sort of sneak out the back and I guess try to get a little bit of glory, but not too much.
Well, hold on a minute. You're the quarterbacks. Like, I would always say to the Corbs, like, really, you are the linchpin. Jace as well, both of you, but Jace in particular, your boot, I mean, literally has kept and won games for Old Glory. In particular, there was that certain win in Quincy in the early rounds. Brilliant conversion, buddy. Like, how have you, double-barrel question, how have you dealt with trying to command this team? You've had some ups and downs this season at Old Glory. And then I suppose looking forwards to this massive playoff game, just how important is it, your matchup and the boots between you two?
Oh, man, I think I've been getting pretty lucky with my boot throughout the year. I mean, I have missed some that have mattered too, so it's kind of gone both ways. But yeah, look, it's something I take pride in. It's one of my biggest assets, I reckon, and when I love to have the game on the line and have a kick to win. It's something that most teams dream of, and yeah, it might be important this weekend. Who knows? If I get the opportunity, I'd love to have a crack at it again. But yeah, like you said, we've had some ups and downs. We've probably had too many games relying on a kick at the end, in my opinion. But we've grown a lot since that week 2 went up in Boston. We went down and we've gone back up again, and I reckon we found our groove in the last 2 months or so, and it's hopefully we can get the job done up there this weekend.
And Jayson, for you, obviously last year you boys were just on a freight train, sort of runaway with the East. This year it's been a lot more of a scrap, some ups and downs. How would you sum up this year and where you boys are as a team now coming into these playoffs?
Yeah, it's definitely been a lot more challenging this year, but I think that just comes down to like the growth in the league in general. You know, the players now from, I guess, all of the East teams, I think you're seeing that each game could go either way. You know, like I look at ourselves, we've sort of lost a 1-1 against most of the East teams. So it's been challenging, but it's also been quite rewarding in terms of the depth. You know, a lot of boys have had opportunity to represent the Free Jacks for the first time this year, which is, I guess, quite cool for them. But yeah, obviously, look, we're probably not at where we'd like to be, if I'm being honest. But I guess when you're in knockout games, you only need to perform for 80 minutes, don't you? So that's all we'll be looking to do this weekend is try to put a good 80 minutes together and, yeah, I guess let the rest play out as it does.
No, I know all about that. After the final last year, it is literally all about that 80 minutes. In terms of the 80 minutes between you two boys, it's been decided by 1 point. One in favour of DC, and then one in favour of New England. Now, Jace, going back to you, and as coming almost back to the point about kicks to win the game, what have you guys learned? What have you talked about in the week or early days about the Free Jacks and, you know, that confidence that you can go and do it again?
Yeah, mate, like we managed to get the job done up there early on. Might have been lucky, but we managed to get the job done, and we know we can go anywhere and challenge any team as the Free Jacks can do the same, as most teams in the league have shown they can do this year. So yeah, and playoff footy, anything can happen. We've got to take opportunities at all costs this weekend because we won't get many. The Free Jacks don't give up many, so when we do get them, we're going to take them. If we don't, you know, it's going to be tough.
Jayson, for you, where do you see some of the key battlegrounds or the key areas in this matchup that might decide or give one team, an advantage over the other potentially?
Yeah, I guess DC's set piece is strong, right? So I guess it's the old fashion. You got to win the battle up front, and I guess will be important for us as it should be for most teams every game. So I think that's a crucial area, and yeah, I guess like Jace just mentioned, it'll be close and it'll be some key moments and just making sure that we can win those, and that's pretty much all the game will come down to. You know, in playoff footy, you only get one or two opportunities, and yeah, the margins are small, so we've got to be brave to take those.
Mark, my last question for you, Jace. Like, I know it's not all about them, but like, what are you wary of? It's a side that's going for back-to-back championships. Like, is there a couple of individuals, maybe someone on this interview? Like, what are you talking about? The potential of who you're looking out for?
Mate, they've got 15 individuals that can win a game, and obviously together as well. They're pretty tough to beat, especially up in Boston, in front of probably the best fans in the league, if I'm honest. They've got some of the best counter-attack in the league, great set piece as well, and just playing what's in front. They're probably the best team as well, taking opportunities, and they're good across the park, mate, and we've got to be on from minute 1 to minute 80 to get this job done. And
for you, Jayson, as well, thinking about DC?
Yeah, pretty similar, to be honest. Obviously, great set piece. Discipline will be important, as old Jace is pretty handy with the boot, which we all know. So, yeah, just those key areas, really. And, yeah, sure, it's going to go either way. And so we just got to make sure that we're on, especially during the week, you know, making sure we're training well, which that's where it all starts from. If you train well during the week, it sets you up nicely for your warm-up and game day. So, yeah, the next few days, we just make sure we're ticking along nicely to give us the best opportunity for this Saturday.
Awesome, lads. Well, it's been fantastic to have you both on. Good luck this weekend. We're all looking forward to what's going to be a massive clash between the two of you. All the best, and hopefully we'll speak to you again soon.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Cheers, lads. Thanks, mate.
There we have it, Corbs. Two humble guys. The Kiwis are always so humble. I almost don't want them to be. Just tell me that they don't like them, or Jayson doesn't like Jayson, or they have a great story before.
They just save it when they're on the field.
I know.
Once they're on the field, they ain't humble. They're competitors. They'll be into each other. It'll be niggly. It'll be everything you want. But yeah, they kept it very controlled.
They did.
And tame.
Yeah, they did.
I think everyone's too afraid to give the other team some sort of snippet
yeah,
or fire or
I know,
something to put on their team
Just throw
or
it
something.
out there, man. I want someone.
You want a grenade, don't
I want
you?
a grenade. I want someone creating
send it.
content that just literally just blows things up. Look, in terms of for us to blow things up, we have to talk about, of course, some predictions coming up. Should we get into it then? Who we think's going to take this? Who's going to march themselves? See, I said march to the conference finals in the East and the West. Corbs and I are going to do it. Of course, you are in the lead.
Am I?
Oh, we haven't even talked about that. Look, like you are in the lead. Let's just keep going.
It's all right, keep going.
No,
Say it
you
again.
are.
Say it one more time.
You are in the lead
third
by
time.
just. I think that graphic coming up, you can see by just. But yeah, it's still all to play for. And I tell you what, it's very much all to play for with these teams coming up. Let's get into the predictions then of these Major League Rugby Conference semi-finals. So, Corbs, let's start in terms of from Saturday through to Sunday. You've, of course, laid it out. We begin with that game with the Jaysons. We begin with the Free Jacks against DC. Now, two guys, very good goal kickers, will be pivotal in their roles. And the fact that these two teams have beaten each other both away from home.
Yeah, that's what's crazy.
DC will not mind going to Quincy. I'll come to you first. Go on, what do you think of this? Is this straightforward enough to say Free Jacks straight off the bat, or is there more into it?
I think it's going to be close, mate. I think you could probably say Free Jacks deserve to be favourites. But DC are a sleeper team, mate, because their set piece is legit. And that's probably been the one thing the Free Jacks haven't had as strong as they had last year. And that's where they're going to be tested. So for me, if they can handle Old Glory in the set piece, I think Free Jacks will win that game. If it's slightly in OG's favour, I think Free Jacks can still win that game. If they start tipping the scale, that's where the game could change. Because if you actually remember the last time they had the comeback, it was built around the maul.
Yeah, the line as well.
They just grafted their way with maul, penalty, pressure, got over the line, and they'll look to do the same if they're allowed. They'll look to use their scrum with Stevie Longwell and Ascaro and those boys and Baka at hooker. That's a real front row with a lot of size behind it. So that's a tough out for the Free Jacks. And so for me, I think it could go either way. I'd favour the Free Jacks, but if you're asking me to predict it right now,
go on.
I'm going to go Free Jacks by 2.
Ooh, okay. Look, you're perfect with the set piece thing. The other thing which I did hear, who is massive, they need to make sure that he's fit, is Axel Muller for DC.
Ooh, yeah.
If he's not fit, he's one of their absolute strike runners. I do believe that heavily rely on him. I'm hoping Tommaso Boni as well. He looked like he didn't limp off the field in Scotland. He looks like all right. Again, I just question for whether he's okay. Jason Robertson needs both those two runners. I think you're right. If DC have the line-out superiority and the set-piece superiority, this changes. But I just think with what the Free Jacks have shown, particularly in late, and when they were so good against DC, at DC, I'm going to go Free Jacks. I'm going to say Free Jacks by 7.
Sorry, Jameson.
Yeah. Yeah. We know you're watching.
Here's your team talk for the week, lads. Go get them.
Okay. Well, then let's flip over quickly to the West because the Saturday finishes with Houston versus Dallas. We all know it's going to be hard in Texas this time of year, like mentally hard. But they'll know it. Both of them know it. Both have had tight games against each other, just 1 point separating them both times in terms of Houston winning both those games, but only by 1 point. Tries scored. Dallas are they've scored the most amount of tries this season with 71. Houston have scored second with 66. So you can say that this game is going to be full of points, and you just wonder who's going to hold on. I've got to back the Sabercats. Like, surely you've got to back them with the infrastructure they've got around AJ Alatimu and then obviously David Kutzer, the forward pack they have. They really did push and get rid of Dallas in the first half in that game, and then they came back. So I'm going to stay with the number one side in the West. I know people think this might be I'd love to know what you're about to say, but I am going to go Houston. Houston by 5.
Ooh. So again, I think Houston deserve to be favourites. I think at home, I think they just know how to play that ground so well. I think their forward, their set piece, their physicality, their kick game, the control they have. Yeah. But
Yes,
I
there's a
think
but.
if you were going to pick a team to go there and win,
I do agree.
I'm sending in the Dallas Jackals, mate. And I'm sending them in. And I'm telling them, if you see Ireland versus South Africa on the weekend, there's opportunities there for them. And they've had a go in that conditions only a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I agree.
They didn't put their strongest team out on the field. They had a much stronger bench. They hemorrhaged early, but then they pulled it back, which probably would have given a bit more confidence.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I'm going to go Dallas by 2.
Dallas by 2. Love it. We have a change of the guard, do we, potentially, in the top of the West. Now, on the Sunday, we jump to the East. For the first up, NOLA in their first Major League Rugby playoff. It looks like it could be a really good crowd. They've been selling a lot of tickets, which is great. Chicago now have been coming good. This, again, all these games are tough. What I would say is that the fact that Chicago, and we talked about set piece before, NOLA have been renowned in terms of good lineup, good set piece. They really sort of go well off that, particularly in the fact those conditions, those humid, hot conditions that's going to be in New Orleans. Holy heck. I do back Chicago on this one. I just think, you're going to laugh because I've backed them all year. But I do think there's a little bit of there's a new energy about them. I think they've got top quality players. And the fact of the matter is that they went to NOLA. They did a job. They are not afraid of being in that heat. I'm sorry, NOLA. I just think they've got enough in them. I'm going to go Chicago by 3.
Again, this is going to be a very competitive game. And I think if you were going to give maybe the forwards a little edge, you'd probably go with NOLA. It's tough, though, because I think that's a real strength of Chicago's as well. But I just think NOLA are really, when they're fully loaded,
I agree.
A handful at scrum, line out maul, they'll at least match Chicago there. I think in the humidity, obviously, I think Chicago will kick a fair bit. I still think NOLA have the team to beat Chicago there. They're at home. They have the crowd. I think it's a pick-em game. I'm going to go NOLA by 3.
Some indecision here. I like it. And therefore, the next question about the last game, will there be any indecisiveness from you on this? As the San Diego Legion go to Seattle Seawolves, one of the renowned rivalries in Major League Rugby, yet again meeting the playoffs. Corbs, you kick it off. We know what you're going to say, but why? Why will the Legion win this game?
So what I'm going to say first is don't pick the Legion. But now I'll carry on is I honestly think this is such a hard game to predict because I think Seattle could come out and blitz anyone and you got to be fully aware of that going there, of how good they could be. But there's also opportunities there that I think Legion have a chance. Both teams know each other well, played each other recently, smaller field, few key factors that we talked about earlier will decide it. I'm going to pick Legion by 1. I think Seattle deserve to be favourites on home field advantage and really the completeness of the brand of rugby that they've showed they could play this season. But I'm backing my boys.
This is tough. And it's honestly, in the last 2 weeks of the regular season, I think everyone, I was here when I was at the Scotland game and I was speaking to people, they were all saying like the Legion have just found something. They need to run into the playoffs. You guys are running into the playoffs. So that form you've got, everyone's fit and healthy. You can't say the same with Seattle Seawolves. Knowing someone like Rickard Hatting is not going to be playing. Charles Elton, he's definitely not going to be playing. Kurandrani, a question marks around him. My word, they need Joe Taufete'e to be fit.
I expect him.
I expect him to be fit. But
he's a warrior. He's going to be on the field.
But like Corbs, like it's in my view. Like if he's on the field, then yeah, I think they might pip it. If he's not on the field, that's the kind of level of how close. I'll even it out. I will say that this one, being at Starfire, it's a very hard place to go. Either way. So I put it either way. I'll say Seattle by 1.
No Hooli curse on us this week. I love it.
But the problem is,
I know he won.
I know. That's coming straight back at me. Deep down, obviously, as a former San Diego Legionnaire, it's hard to go against. So we're looking at the East. I think we agree on the Free Jacks. But then the West, flip. But that's how competitive it is.
I think that's what's exciting about it, honestly. As much as I'd love it to be a cakewalk for my team, I think for the fans, for the sport, and even the competitor in us all, going into a game where you have the fear of failure because you know it could be your last of the season and you're playing a really good side.
Man.
What a better feeling.
What a better feeling.
Let's ride.
It is.
Let's ride, everyone. All the teams in. Let's go.
Playoff rugby at its best. Wishing everyone the best of luck. Well, that's pretty much it. Let's get out of this and get to our final whistle as we all get prepared for Major League Rugby conference semifinals. Yes, Corbs, that is it. We've done it. Thanks so much to Conner Mooneyam coming on, to the Jason Robertson and Jayson Potroz. Jayson Bourne as well. He's always here. It's going to be exciting. Go and grab your tickets. Go and watch it. And make sure you go out there and get some merch as well. Big shout out to Stacey Pates, friend of the show, obviously with All Access. She's massively behind and supporting women's tank tops for each of the brands of for MLR teams.
Nice.
Yeah, I believe it's pretty much everyone. Go to Shop MLR, and it's all in support of cancer research. So, like, obviously supporting her late mum. So, massive from you, Stacey. And another shout out as well, keeping it on an uplifting front. Lou Stanfield, inducted into the USA Hall of Fame. What a legend. Obviously, MLR legend as well. Big Lou, congratulations, buddy.
Another cancer survivor as well.
Another one as well.
Yeah, like his rugby stuff is legendary.
Yes.
But his post-rugby stuff is even 100%. More legendary. From going through cancer, chemo, while training to be a firefighter and a dad. What a stand-up human and great ambassador for our game. It was great to see him on the broadcast as well.
Yes, yeah, awesome.
Congratulations, Lou. Well deserved.
Well deserved indeed. That's it from us, Corbs. I'm getting out of here. I've got to go and see my brother get married. So I'm actually going to not be around for any broadcast this weekend. We will connect. We will have a show, of course, but I'll be from across the pond beginning of next week.
It will be interesting when we chat then, won't it?
Good luck.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
Good luck to everyone. Go and watch it. It's MLR Playoffs from Corbs and I. This has been episode 32 of the Rugby Rundown. We'll see you next week.
Let's go.